All right, let's finish up the Grave Encounters franchise with Grave Encounters 2. I hope that they actually make that 3. I know the Vicious Brothers had finished a script for part 3, so I had read. But I think because so many people disliked this one, maybe they shelved the idea. But as usual, I'll be the odd man out and say that I really, really like this movie a lot. So, I mean, I don't know. I must just have shitty taste in movies. I'm all right with that. So this movie starts with a bunch of people giving their reviews to Grave Encounters, which was very ironic, seeing as how I had just finished recording my review for Grave Encounters for my YouTube channel, which is essentially what all these people are doing in here. And it was a really cool way to start it, just having coming off of one. And, the contrast of opinions, just like all channels are. It's like one is, oh my God, it was so terrifying. And then the other one, this movie sucks. I like that they introduced, I love that they went more in the direction of showing both sides. Because this film kind of plays like Blair Witch Part 2, which is another film that's outright hated by most people. And I love it. So maybe this concept just works for me, but like the meta approach that the first film was a film that was released and there's people questioning its validity. And that is the premise for Blair Witch 2. You'd think that the Vicious Brothers would have learned the lesson of Blair Witch 2, which everyone hates but me and like 3 other people. But I'm glad they went this route because I think that was a really smart way to do this, as opposed to just having another crew go in. They're like trying to go in and prove whether or not this film was real is such a fun way to explore found footage, because the found footage subgenre, a lot of them have always tried to pretend the film was real. And there are gullible people out there. I've said on occasions here on the channel that I got into this ridiculous argument with this chick who was like, the Poughkeepsie tapes is real. And I was like, no. I'm like, maybe it was based on something that actually, and she's like, no, that's real footage. And by the end of it, she was calling me a moron, and I just, didn't know anything, and it was real, and I had to remove her from the group, which I've never done. It's the only person I've ever removed from the group because she had just entered. But there are people out there that will believe even the most ridiculous shit is real. And so I love that the premise of this film, much like Blair Witch, as I said, is kind of playing off of that subset of people who are questioning whether or not what they are watching is real footage or not, despite it being so clearly, obviously fake. Although, one thing that they really did here that was cool is they went and they talked to the producer of the film that's in the opening of Grave Encounters 1, and he mentions that they doctored the footage to make it look more theatrical, like they added this hokey special effects to the face and whatnot. And I thought that was great. Like, I thought that, because that's some of the things, I mean, many others, but that's one of the things that's so clearly not real. So when you watch it, you're like, oh, this can't possibly be real. Look at that CGI. But them to say that it's CGI, that they added it after, then that makes some people be like, is it true? I mean, I hope not, but, I just thought that was a cute little way to nod towards the film. Plus, the Vicious Brothers appear in the movie, and they are just the lowly interns of the producer, and that they went on the press tours and they did all that pretending that they wrote and directed the first film, which I thought was really cool. It's a very meta thing to do. It's very cat in the brain, new nightmare approach. And I really appreciate that stuff. I like when films, sequels, question their roots and play off of them like they're a film. We kind of get that in Halloween 3 when Michael Myers and Halloween are on the screen in the background and stuff. But this is a little more meta, as I said. But okay, so this kid here has the main kid here has a tourist trap poster on his wall, and he's a big horror fan, so I like that they threw in the tourist trap poster. And I like that his friend walks in on him and he's jerking off, and he's like, really? You skipped out on this college party with all these hot chicks, one of which is all about you, so that you could sit here and watch pornography and masturbate? Wow. I mean, you don't start doing that till you're in your 30s, man. Skipping parties to masturbate. That's that's later on. When you're like a 19, 20-year-old kid in college, you shouldn't be skipping parties to jerk off. You go get laid. Now, this kid's incessant bitching about how horror films are recycled garbage and where are all of the titans of the genre like Carpenter and Craven and people. And then when we see footage from his film, much like a lot of these people, he's making generic recycled nonsense. Like stuff I might watch personally, but I'm not going to be like, oh my God, this guy's the next Carpenter. Where's he been? So it's ironic, and I wonder if they made the footage like that on purpose. I would guess they would, that he's just making this run-of-the-mill, paint-by-numbers slasher movie, which is not going to reinvent the genre, and is, it's funny because he's talking about Carpenter and Craven and how, basically they reinvented the genre, and they did, I mean, for sure, but Carpenter came in with Halloween, and he started the slasher craze of the 80s, which Friday the 13th was, a little more responsible for. But then he's going and he's making a knockoff like all of those movies. So it's just like total hypocritical nonsense. But that's to be expected from some film student who says he's going to be the next big thing. It's like, yeah, right. Let's see. It all seems so easy until you get in there and you're like, oh wow, there's a reason these guys' films work, because they're just geniuses of film making and crafting. But I just thought that was funny, showing his footage and it being so generic. Let's see. The balls go on the guy's face when he's sleeping, being censored out and all that. I mean, I guess that's for the purpose of the documentary, but they cuss. I don't like censorship, ever. Okay? I want to see balls in guys' faces. Okay? I want to see big old balls and dicks. Like, I don't want things censored. I'm an adult. I could see penises. I could see fucking pussies. I can see whatever the hell. I hate when they're censored in film. Like, don't show them. Okay? If you can't show them, don't. Don't fucking blur them out. That frustrates me every single time. Censorship is awful. Okay? I don't believe in censorship in any way, shape, or form. Things should be intact the way they are. Nothing should be censored from us. So, anyway. I'm getting that heated about not seeing a guy's balls. It's not about seeing the guy's balls. Go through your theories of I'm a homosexual. I don't really care. It's censorship at all. Any type of censorship. It could be censoring anything, and I hate it. I hate it. Show me them balls. All right. So this guy gets a message from Death Awaits, which is what's written on the door in the first movie, and he goes to check if this is real. He flies out to LA. Takes 2 days to fly out there to talk to this guy, and then they go and they talk. I think this is actually before they go and they talk to Lance Preston, but they use his real name, the actor, Sean something, and they go and talk to his mother, and she has like dementia. And at first, she seems like she's legit, but as the film goes on, I want to say this thing is crooked, and I want to fix it because it's bothering me so much when I'm filming right now. Oh, wait, way too much. Talk about found footage. That looks better, right? Oh, I don't know. Not like much of this is straight anyways, right? But yeah, she's kind of creepy in this film. And I like the actress that played her, even if she's only in it for a minute. They changed the name of the hospital for the movie, so if anyone was looking for it, they couldn't find it. I'll talk about the hospital at the very end here. The chick that they bring along with them, this random hot chick they bring along with them, they're watching the movie, and she just, the original movie, and she's like, this movie's retarded. I don't know why, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, people like that drive me fucking insane. Honestly, for the most part, I was thinking about this. I think about this all the time, and this seems kind of silly to feel, but I really don't like film fans. I really don't like people talking about film almost ever. I feel like people are very entitled, and that their opinions are always extremely rooted in all sorts of unjust bias. And they feel like their films need to be catered to them. And it's fine to not like a movie, but it's like the outright hatred, the elitism of like, oh my God, this movie's so terrible. Like, I don't know, it frustrates me. And when I hear it in this movie and I see this girl, I've dealt with people like that so much in my life. And it's like, you don't even deserve to watch movies. You just don't. In my opinion, it's anyway. All right. And so they go and they decide they're going to shoot a documentary like the first one to prove that this movie is real, which is a cool idea. They take all the films from the film school. I don't know how the hell they did that. They checked out $50,000 worth of cameras and took it to Vancouver. I guess they just were talking. They probably wanted to go and do some exterior shots for their movie, but I don't know why they'd need so many cameras to do that, but maybe they just took it when no one was looking and they were going to bring them back. And these guys definitely come much more prepared than the other crew because they are expecting possibly to find something. They bring bolt cutters and they bring horns and they bring, GPS locators and all this, which I don't think that GPS thing actually ever is used in the film. Is it? I don't remember it being used. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't remember it actually ever playing into the film at all. This security guard is trying to keep him out of there and ends up coming in after, which is kind of cool to have someone come from the outside while they're already locked in there. And he ends up getting his ass electrocuted to death to the point where he catches on fire and burns up. That was gnarly stuff. And the thermal cam, when the friend is farting on the thermal cam, that was a pretty funny joke. I would love to get a thermal camera and see if that really happens. Okay, like that, I have got to know if that's right. It probably is. The amount that comes out, oh man, it would be so gross to see. I've got to see that. Maybe some YouTube videos of people actually doing it. I'm sure there is. If it's true, there will be YouTube videos on it. So there's this spirit board down that they find, and they figure out that it is death awaits. So the dead contacted them through the internet, which actually makes perfect sense. I mean, if they're, made of energy, and they always talk about EMF readers and whatnot, it would be fair to consider that they could somehow get into your computer. I would think that would be the best way for them to communicate, honestly. Because I would think that as opposed to actually having to manipulate something like physical like this, that they could more come from an electrical, I don't know exactly how to phrase this, but it just, in my mind, that seems more logistical, but I'm probably way off base here. I'd have to look further into that. I'm not going to look further into that because it's bullshit. Let's see. No, I already said that. The Asian friend getting thrown through the window. That was pretty cool. And then the little girl that's on the car, and she's brushing her hair, and she's singing, and she looks up, and of course we get the face distortion, which is kind of a trademark in the Grave Encounters franchise. And then like they're running around a corner where their friend is, and then they look back and they look back, and then a wall has just appeared there in front of them. I love the manipulation and changing of the hospital in the film, like their mental patients. I adore that. I'll talk about it here in a second. Then the hot chick who thinks films are retarded, this film in particular, gets her head crushed, and actually crushes from the inside, and then she starts bleeding profusely out her eyes, and I thought that was great. And then the monster that comes through the window, this thing right here, I thought that thing was fucking terrifying. When it's like stomping down the halls and it's like 10 feet tall, and I don't know, the way it moved and the way it looked and everything. I loved this guy. This is my favorite ghost apparition, whatever the hell this thing's, poltergeist. I don't know what the hell to call these things, but this guy right here is my favorite in the franchise. He is scary. Holy crap, if I saw that coming towards me, I would freak out. So then they make it out of the building, which I love this. They do a full 1408 where Mike Enslin makes his way out, and then he's out for a little while, and then boom, all of a sudden he's back in 1408 out of nowhere. But these guys go back to their hotel instead of the police station. Still can't figure that out. But hey, I don't know. I think it would have made, I think they could have still done this. They could have easily still done this. And make it a police station. Like they could have just ran to the police station. They could have ran in the front door and been like, "We need to talk to," and they'd be like, "Go up the elevator to the third level or whatever." And then they would have been like, "Okay," and they would have ran off, and they would have ran and gotten the elevator, and then it would have opened inside the hospital. So them going to the hotel wasn't necessary. Realistically, they would have went to the police station first, 100%. 100%. So them going to the hotel is stupid. And you didn't, like, it's a great idea. Like the elevator opening and it being back in the hospital. I love it. I think it's fucking awesome. I think it's a great scare. I think it's mind fucking. It's very defeating. But yeah, so they get out. And this happens, and it just, I don't know, that annoys me. They could have still done the same scares, still could have had everything, but it's just, missed opportunity. I love the idea of like elevators opening in different dimensions, different parallels, different stuff like that. I think that's great. And so then this is where they meet Lance Preston. Lance Preston is still alive. Now, I do think that there are moments where Lance goes a little overboard, and I think it's his laugh. When he's talking about like filming the next Grave, he's like, "We'll do the next Grave Encounters episode." That laugh, I think, is over the top. But honestly, almost everything else with him, especially like when they first meet him in the first like 10 minutes with him, and he's kind of like Gollum. That's the way I feel like he's acting. I think it's great because in his mind, he's only been in there 9 months supposedly, but they tell him it's been 9 years. But then later in the movie, he says, "You know what 9 years in a place like this would do to a guy?" And it's like, but you just told us you've been in here for 9 months. So I don't feel like that adds up. But it doesn't matter. Regardless, it makes more sense that he's in there for 9 years. 9 months in that place, though, would probably turn you loony. But I thought his performance was actually really good. Besides the aforementioned laugh and whatnot. So I was actually pretty impressed with him in that. Right. And he looked pretty damn ripped, which makes sense. He would have nothing to eat but rats, and he's like constantly running around and whatnot, so he'd be in shape. We find this red door, which I thought was pretty cool, and it's all chained, and there's nothing on either side, but he's convinced there's something there. And then he's going around and he's showing him through the hotel, and he's opening doors. Fuck, man, I keep dropping my notes. It's pissing me off. He's opening doors, and there's like a closet, and then he closes it, and then he opens it again, and well, there's a closet again, and then he closes it, and then he opens it, and there's a hallway. Awesome stuff. I love that. I love that he's been in there for so long, he's starting to kind of figure out the pattern that isn't a pattern. Like, it's this weird, incomprehensible place, but he's kind of started to make sense of the madness. I love that idea. I love that Lance is able to go in there and open doors a few times and see different areas of the hospital through doors, and then he breaks through a wall, and the wall is straight, and then the kid goes through it and he falls through the ceiling, and when they're looking through the wall at him, it's down so like there's no direction in this dimension that they're in. There's not like everything is on its head. Thought all that stuff was really clever, and I really enjoyed the hell out of it, because if they can flip the hospital on itself and put the front door at the front door, and they're just walking through each other and everything's mirrored, they could also play with word I can't think of right now. Let's see. And oh yeah, they keep acting like Lance is disgusting, and it's like, dude, he's just a survivor. Blow me. Then they find the bolt cutters, and they're like, okay, we're gonna go to the red door. And then Lance decides, I'm going to go, like, we need to all go rest for a few hours, and then we'll go through the red. Why would you rest? Why, when you have the keys to freedom, would you then go to sleep when you know these things can come and take your shit in the middle of the night? Like, you have them in your hand, go immediately to the door. What, you need sleep? Really? You've been in there for this long? That is so dumb. That is just a setup for Lance to murder that friend and be told by the camera and the ghosts or whatever, which the writing on the wall I thought was really smart, because we get that room from the first movie where the writing's all over the wall, and Lance has actually read all of that and found that there's a red door and this and that, and then the writing actually starts to appear on the wall as he's talking to it. Really clever. I like that a lot, and then it like writes across the entire wall. I think physics is the word I was thinking of earlier, but it doesn't matter. And so I did like that, and I like that he's like, the thing's telling him to collect the tapes and finish the film and all this stuff. Which, of course, we find out later, because I was like, why the hell would they do that? And it's like, because this doctor that runs the place wants more people to come. He wants more kids to break in. He wants more victims. So he wants another film out there so more kids will look for the location, which they do something really clever here at the end. I'll get to it in a minute. And so, yeah, the cameras all like fly up in the air and are filming with Lance as he's going after these kids, because he has to kill them. He has to be the last one. He has to collect all the footage. And, the main kid here ends up being the only survivor after Lance gets pulled through like an Evil Dead 2 portal. Interesting. Which doesn't mean he's dead. We could see him in 3, I guess. But this kid, if there's ever a 3, this kid then takes a camera and beats his possible girlfriend, to death with it. And her face is like smashed and bloody. I thought that was freaking great. And the camera lens is all broken. So mean. And then he takes the footage through the red door, and it's like out there. And then these cops arrest him. And then he takes the footage to the producer, and the producer's like, the footage is fake. Just so you know, I made a big mistake saying it was real in the first one, but it's fake. And then we get a kind of interview with the kid, and he's like, whatever you do, don't go there. Like a wink, wink, like, challenging people to find the place. And then boom, the movie ends, black screen, and then for 1 millisecond you have to go back and you have to frame by frame by frame by frame by frame find it. But it is coordinates 49, 14, 122, 48. Type that into Google, and what comes up? The Riverview Mental Hospital, where this film was filmed. How cool is that? I'm sorry, that's bad ass. When I saw those coordinates, I was like, oh man, if I type that into my phone, it's actually the coordinates for where they filmed this. And it sure as fuck was. That's amazing. That is so cool. I'm sorry. I love that about this film. What did I see if they already did that? Oh, and the kid ends up becoming the director that he wanted to, because he gets to pretend like he made this film, right? Reinvented the genre by making a sequel to a movie everyone thinks is shit. Yeah, Riverview Mental Hospital, so cool. Place has been torn down though. They're building a state-of-the-art mental health facility there now, so it's not there anymore. It was torn down. That sucks, but I just think that's fantastic that they put the coordinates in the film after being like, don't go there. Wink, wink. Anyways, guys, I got to get to work. That's it for the Grave Encounters. So, for Sinister Cinema Reviews, I'm Jason Smith.